day in 5 states. And while both President Biden and former President Trump have already secured their party's presidential nominations, today's primaries could play a big role in the future of each campaign.
Mr. Trump will be casting his ballot in Florida today as he deals with financial and legal issues, while President Biden heads west and looks to regain momentum with voters. Alice Barr has more.
As voters head to the polls in 5 primary states today, the question is not who will win the Republican and Democratic presidential contests, but rather what these voters care about.
I didn't want to vote for Trump, so I just voted against him, basically.
It's immigration right now. It's out of control.
In Ohio, a Trump-backed Senate candidate is testing the former president's ability to drive voter turnout.
It made a big impact on me, and I want to support Trump.
Mr. Trump voting today in the Florida primary. On social media, he's lashing out over the $464 million civil fraud judgment against him for his company's business practices. He's struggling to find the money and has until Monday before the New York Attorney General could move to start seizing his assets. At the same time, the former president taking heat for his latest highly controversial comments.
Any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion, they hate everything about Israel, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
As many Jewish leaders forcefully push back, the White House issuing a statement saying, quote, President Biden has put his foot down when it comes to vile and unhinged anti-Semitic rhetoric, adding there is no justification for spreading toxic false stereotypes that threaten fellow citizens. President Biden campaigning today in Arizona, where voters are at the polls, and in Nevada, drawing a sharp contrast with former President Trump.
I've never heard a president say the things that this guy has said, but the difference is he means them.
The Biden campaign announcing a new effort to engage and mobilize Latino voters, a critical voting bloc this November. While polls show many Americans prefer former President Trump over President Biden on immigration, Democrats in Arizona are trying to reframe the issue, pointing to that bipartisan border bill that the former president opposed and House Republicans blocked. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.